Saskia and Tobias, welcome up.
Thank you, Per, for sharing this with everyone. We are actually grabbing this opportunity to have members of our management team here from Avinode Group, just to have a small conversation on what we just saw. My name is Alexandra McRae. I'm super passionate about building and providing a great customer experience. So that's why I hold the dear title of Chief Marketing and Experience Officer at Avinode Group. And I've been working with Avinode Group for the past 8 years. I want to say that we would like to have some questions when we're done. So as Per said, please hold them. And I would like for you to introduce yourselves.
Sure, I can start. Everyone can hear me? Great, my name is Kevin Klein. I'm the Director of Customer Success for Avinode Group. For those of you who don't know what customer success is, we have a sales team that helps sell the value of all the different softwares that we provide, and then we have the customer success team that helps customers realize the value. So this is a newer term in technology. I actually come from a high-tech startup background in Silicon Valley, and I've worked at for the last few years with Avinode Group and other tech companies in the aviation space. And I'm really excited from my background in high-tech startups to see all the opportunities for innovation. And honestly, I love working with all the different operators and brokers in the industry. It's been really fun.
Hi, my name is Saskia de Jong. I'm also Director of Customer Success. I have been with Avinode for 12 years, which is immediately also how long I've been in the industry. I started off in sales, became key account manager in the US, was able to experience and learn from operators and brokers on a global level. And it has been really awesome to see where the industry has come so far. In 12 years, we have become so much more innovative, and it's been very, very fun to see how operators and brokers are using our tools, and to also learn where they are thinking ahead. What we need to deliver? So that's been absolute fun, and I can't wait to see where we're at in 10 years.
My name is Tobias Gunnesson. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Avinode. So I help us design the products that we're going to offer you tomorrow. I've been working in this industry for 4 years, but I have been working on building tech products to solve business-to-business needs for the last 20 years. So I'm really passionate about change, and I'm really passionate about software products that help you and this industry to do business differently in the future.
So Per talked about innovation being at an all-time high at the moment. And Tobias, you and your teams are a little bit center of driving innovation in our company. How do you think that we can ensure that innovation keeps a good pace to match the customer needs that we are seeing?
I think the first thing I'd say is that pace without purpose doesn't really matter a lot. So when I hear that question, I'm thinking about two aspects. One is really understanding, how do we want to innovate in this industry? How do brokers want to work differently? How do operators want to work differently? And then I think us as a tech company, helping that by understanding what's just now possible with technology. Like, what's possible to do differently? And do we as a company have ideas where we can see opportunities to change the industry and innovate based on what's possible with technology, and where we might be seeing things and opportunities that you haven't seen yet, and present that back to the industry?
So Saskia and Kevin, as customer success directors, both you and your teams are in constant conversations with customers, but also other professionals in the industry. So in then relation to innovation, what are the things that you have seen lately that companies are asking for the most?
As I kind of touched on, I think the industry has changed in a positive way, where people are really aware that they need to have a digital exposure. Like, what is your digital plan? Where do you want to be as a company? And I would say the majority of the conversations that we have today is I want to create a seamless experience for my customer that needs to be online and either with owners. I want to have give my owner an experience that is mobile friendly. And I think that those are absolutely buzzwords that we hear all the time. And another thing is this industry is becoming a lot more reliant on data. And that's another thing that is really great to hear, that people want to make decisions based on the data that we have available.
Kevin, you love data.
I do. Thank you. No, I definitely agree with what Saskia said about giving the best customer experience. Along with customer experience, we hear from a lot of our operators and brokers, how do we increase efficiency and how do we increase revenue? So, talking about innovation, very often we kind of combine software as innovation, and I've definitely implemented a ton of softwares over the years. I'm sure all of you guys have, to help with efficiency as well as to drive revenue. I had a great conversation yesterday with one of our customers, Cirrus Aviation. Shout out to them, local to Vegas here. And that was exactly the conversation. How do we free up our sales team members so that they're more efficient so they can get back to selling? And data is a very common way to empower a team, but also that's what customers are looking for: drive efficiencies and help drive revenue. And one of the initiatives that we actually have here, feel free to cut me off if I'm going too long, Alex, is actually our online booking initiative. That was something that we talked about with Cirrus, and it was a really good conversation to talk about how their sales team can use this tool and give their customers a better experience, but also make the whole process more efficient, from quoting all the way through actual payment, and set up the trip to be successful.
Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, and I think that that's where a lot of smaller companies are looking for help, right? Like, you want to be more present online, and they come to us asking, like, what are great tools to use? And like, online booking is one of those tools that we now offer that makes their life a lot easier, and it's a seamless integration between all the tools that we already offer. So I think that that's been feedback from our customers, that it's nice that it's a plug and play solution.
Thank you. So our mission at Avinode Group is really to build solutions to help professionals in this industry to be successful. That's why we are here. And our approach to APIs that Per talked about before, it differs a little bit to others in this industry. And Tobias, why is that?
Should we define what an API is first?
Let's start there.
Set the standard. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. Technical jargon, this is basically how softwares talk to each other. So when we talk about APIs, this is sort of what are the touch points that we offer to other softwares that allow them to communicate with our products and communicate with the trips that are in the Avinode Group ecosystem of products. In Per's presentation, like, one thing that I caught up with, he said that open APIs is a must and is a standard in businesses. I think that's true for other industries. I do also think that looking at our industry, it's not quite true yet. There is a little bit of a closed pond thinking. Not all softwares offer open APIs. Not all softwares have gone up to that level yet. I think we have a different philosophy there. So we want to create an ecosystem around the trips that we are trying to deliver to customers together as an industry and as brokers and operators. And we try to connect seamlessly connected industry. We probably have a different mindset since we come from the background of a marketplace. So we have that in our DNA. Like, how do we connect brokers and operators? How do we make that match? And then we expand that to say, like, well, now how do we help the industry to work together and become seamlessly connected? Because a trip, whether it's a charter trip or an owner trip, it requires several companies working together to fulfill the promise of that experience of the person that's going to fly. And yeah, so I think that's where APIs are very important, and having an ecosystem thinking and an open API philosophy is going to be very, very important going forward. That data needs to be owned by you and to be integrated into the workflows that you have and into the communication with the partners that are delivering the trip.
I would also add that I think for a while people were looking for that one tool that did it all. And I think right now people are more at a space where it's okay that you pick and choose. There's software that they're the best CRM system. They are the best sourcing platform. They are the best reservation system. Why not connect the best of the best with each other than looking for that one system that might be mediocre at those components? So, and I think that that's what the magic is of our APIs. We allow you to do that. Use the best CRM system because that's not where we are specialized in.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I hate double entry, and I hate doing repetitive things that feel unnecessary. So how do we then tie together that workflow? Super important question. And then Per talked about, the 200 emails that can fly back and forth, and the risk of an oops moment where something is missed. So that's the other question. Like, how do we tie that communication together in a better way through the software tools that we are using to deliver the trip? Both the Avinode Group products like Avinode and Scudero, but also the other products that we are using as companies delivering those trips.
There's going to be a test on what API stands for, right, Alex, after this?
There will
We'll pass that around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Multiple choice, I hope.
Yeah. What does A? I think from my perspective, the way that I think about it is APIs are essentially the pipeline between all the different systems and tools. And besides all the different pilots and team members that work in your organizations that help a flight go off successfully, the backbone is data, all of your passenger information, all of the sales data, all the trip information, that needs to be moving across a whole bunch of different systems. And if you're having all of your data siloed in one place and it's not talking to your maintenance system, for example, or any other number of softwares that you've implemented, then you're really doing your whole business a disservice. So having that flexibility to work with all these different systems, as my team members pointed out, it's critical.
So now we're jumping into my favorite topic, customer experience. Why do I care so much about customer experience? Because that is your brand. And you deliver customer experience through all the different touch points that you have with your company. It's not about support. It's not about service. It's everything. It's even how we're acting. We're on the floor here at NBAA. So I want to ask both you and Kevin and Saskia in regards to Per's bold statement before around he does not believe in a only digital experience, but the importance of also the sort of human experience in combination. What do you think?
Well, I was a victim of the Starbucks delay earlier this morning, so I'm happy that it ended up working out and we got properly caffeinated. Yeah, I mean, I've worked in tech for quite a while now, so I know that there's a ton of opportunity for innovation, and we're building all these different digital customer experiences, but I think it's really hard to replicate what's going on in NBAA and having all these different team members and customers come to the booth. So it's really hard to have a digital-only approach to customer experience. So that's what I'm always thinking about with our customer success teams is how do we have a great Zoom game? How do we do well in a remote world? But yeah, also how do we establish the touch points that we can all have conversations in person and develop those relationships?
Do you think that it differs, like strategies differs depending on which industry you are in, right?
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. I mean, I think for us, we started looking at our customer experience, like how do we want to interact with our customers? And our customer is mainly the operator, the broker. But I mean, have you thought of that? I'm looking at you as the audience. Like, who are you dealing with, and how does your customer want to be interacted with? I mean, you're dealing with the high net worth individual. So I think for us, we started looking at who is our customer and what should be their customer journey from the moment that we interacted with them of, hey, we're interested in a membership that's sales. And then how do we make sure that they get the best implementation experience? And how do we make sure that our customer success managers work with them on getting the most value out of our product? And all of those might be human interactions, but we should use the tools that help our team members be the best at what they do. And I think that that's where Kevin and his expertise come into play, as well as Alex. There's so many amazing software out there that can help you with creating a better customer experience. It doesn't have to be always on the front end, but it can be on the back end. I mean, the easy one to think of is like a CRM system. I'm sure most of you use Zendesk. Oh, I mean, all of these, I'm promoting all these software here, but there's many other tools out there that are really cool that can also help giving a better customer experience to your customer. So maybe something to think about.
I was just going to plug that we have a networking happy hour at 4 o'clock today at the Avinode booth, if you want to put that in-person networking into practice.
Good plug.
Thank you.
So the last question that I'm going to ask here before we let you guys in. So what role do you think, Kevin, mobile technology plays in, improving the overall customer journey from the booking to the post-flight services?
Speaking of mobile, I have to do a quick shout out for a team member that's not here at the show this year, CC, one of our customer success managers who's off on her honeymoon. I bring her up in this portion because she talked major trash a few weeks ago criticizing my mobile game because I have the large font on my phone, and she said that I had boomer text. So I know this is being recorded. I'm looking into the camera. So shout out to CC.
You're not alone.
Yeah, Google boomer text after this, and you guys will get the answer. I mean, at this point, I know this is a panel on innovation, but I'd really say, the way that the world works is mobile is more of an expectation. How do you sell a trip when you're on the golf course? That's what Ben, our head of sales, always talks about. Gives that example. How can you create this whole customer experience for your customers wherever you are? And we all have our own phones, and wherever you are, there's an expectation that you're doing business. I mean, that's probably all of us here at the show today. You're going to go have happy hour, and then you're going to have 5 emails from people that you met today that you want to get back to. So, to me, regardless of if it's your team member or your customer, there's an expectation that you're kind of always on, and I think technology today is what's kind of powering that. So I'd say it's really an expectation. How do you empower your customers to do their jobs wherever they are?
Thank you, Tobias, Saskia, Kevin, Per. And thank you for being active listeners and asking questions.